Bien, aujourd'hui, c'est le jour de la finale régionale de la 3-Minute Thesis Competition, qui est un concours donc, de la présentation par des doctorants de leurs travaux de thèse en 3 minutes et en anglais. Ce concours, il est organisé dans le cadre du réseau COIMBRA, du groupe COIMBRA, de réseau de 41 universités européennes. Et dans chaque université européenne, les doctorants vont présenter, vont concourir pour présenter leurs travaux de thèse en 3 minutes. Et suite à cette finale, donc il y aura une finale donc, ici à Montpellier, c'est aujourd'hui la finale. Suite à cette finale, il y aura un lauréat. Les différents lauréats auront leur présentation qui va circuler au sein du groupe de Coimbra. Et ceux qui auront obtenu les 3 meilleures notes participeront à la finale européenne qui aura lieu en juin à Padoue cette année lors de l'Assemblée générale du groupe de Coimbra. L'année dernière, c'est la représentante française, la lauréate française du concours qui a eu lieu dans les mêmes conditions que cette année, Dunia Ziati, qui a été sélectionnée au niveau de Montpellier et qui a gagné la finale européenne. Donc, on est bon à Montpellier dans le Languedoc-Roussillon et donc on va maintenant écouter les 4 doctorants qui participent à ce concours cette année 2022.
8 a.m., your alarm goes off. While you prepare your coffee, you think about your day ahead, about the meaning of life, but you don't give a thought to what you just have in front of you, your coffee. You don't consider for even a second how much effort was needed to get that black elixir into your mug. From that small-scale farmer in the tropics who has harvested and fermented the coffee beans, to the master roaster who is the brain behind that special blend. And that's what my PhD is about. It's about details. Specifically, it's about microorganisms. In a small coffee bean, there is a complex ecosystem. It's full of microorganisms that cohabitate. Sometimes they do it in peaceful symbiosis, and other times not so peaceful. Their study helps to find those that are helpful reducing mycotoxins. Mycotoxins are just small toxic molecules produced by fungus. Do you know that their presence provokes the rejection of half of the roasted coffee that arrives to the European border? This has a very negative impact on the economy of the producing countries. Besides, they have their own illness called Balkan endemic nephropathy. So yes, we should be careful with them. So how these helpful microorganisms reduce the mycotoxin? Well, they engage in a veritable warfare. Some of them use their sticky skin to adhere the mycotoxins, and others produce compounds that force the fungi to reduce their production. I'm not only focusing on coffee safety, but also in coffee quality, because microorganisms have a very important role by influencing either positively or negatively the flavor of the final product. Is there any coffee roast taster in the room? I wonder, most of you enjoy having a cup, but what if I tell you that the inoculation, those bitter notes you taste come from the inoculation of a specific set of microorganisms during the fermentation of a Robusta coffee in the Ivory Coast? Well, now we can understand that the perfect balance of microorganisms gives place to the best quality coffee. Healthier, sustainable, and with a personalized flavor. All this while allowing small producers to be more profitable. More profitable because they reduce food loss while allowing their income. So, tomorrow morning, drinking coffee won't be anymore an automatic action, but quality time drinking the best safety coffee.
The first pure joy of the garden is to have chocolate earth in our nails. That's what Virginia Woolf said back in 1920. planting flowers for her required both creativity and hard labor. Gardens, for Woolf and for most of us, are places of rest and refuge. Yet, did you know that in 1895, the London Botanical Gardens of Kew became a site of unrest? Why? Simply because it welcomed on its grounds, for the first time ever, women gardeners. These women were mocked by both the visitors and the press because, back then, gardening was considered to be for men. This may all sound anecdotal, yet how did women claim the space of the garden both literally and figuratively? My research focuses on how 4 British women writers of the 20th century did not only write gardens into their literary works, but were also active botanists in their own right. In combining literary analysis, garden plan studies, and field trips, my research will analyze how such gardens are designed on the page, but also on the ground. In doing so, I reflect on whether these writers only meant to reproduce the gardens that already existed around them. I believe my 4 writers advocated for new ways to think about the interaction between the human and the non-human. I show how, by reevaluating the plants, they in turn educated their readers about their own surroundings. In analyzing how they displayed gardens in their works, what comes to the fore is their ecological stance. For though these writers have never been much celebrated for their interest in gardens, even back then, they offered perspectives on how to think about the non-human. Today, as the impact of mankind on Earth is a concern to us all, their views have a particular resonance for us as readers. In reconciling the artistic places they designed both in their literary works and on the ground, my aim is twofold. First, I wish to rehabilitate these 4 women writers and their works, and finally, I mean to celebrate the attention that they paid to the non-human entities sprouting from our chocolate earth.
I will never forget the first moment that I saw those little tiny squares that you see on the screen. I didn't know what they mean, but I had something that tells me they're talking to me and trying to say something that I haven't really understood at that time. Later on, I discovered that those tiny squares are the genomic blueprint for more than 2 trillion of our T and B cells. The cells that defend our bodies from bacteria and viruses, such as COVID-19. And I start wondering what would happen if we were able to identify those genes within the genome of everybody. Oh, this is a big, big breakthrough. It's like something we haven't seen before. But what I can say, it's like, you know what? It's like identifying everybody's genomes and identifying the cells that normally do our jobs in our bodies. So identifying those genes will allow us to do a personalized treatment and personalized, precise treatment. Identifying those genes is named annotation. And it is a very challenging task. It requires time, money, and skills. Imagine a single annotation can last several months and requires a dedicated team who will try to locate those tiny genes with the millions of DNA sequences. It's like finding a needle in a haystack. In my thesis, I'm on the verge of making automatic annotation of those genes possible, thanks to artificial intelligence, big data, and computational science. With a single click on your mouse, my technology is able to identify those genes at the speed of light. This technology works like a little brain that contains billions of artificial neural networks. Those neural networks are able to analyze billions of DNA sequences. Like I say, this technology is a breakthrough. It will allow us to decipher everybody's immune systems, adaptive immune systems, which means that we can have a personalized treatment based on our genomes. That is to say, we can have the right treatment for the right person at the right moment based on all those genes that we found with automatic annotation.
Imagine going for a ride on your bike just because you feel like it. You take your bike out of the garage, go out and join some friends. This is a self-organizing experience. My research investigates the self-organized activity particular to equestrian user, where instead of a bike, there's a horse. I have analyzed the values and needs created during self-organizing experience to improve the offer of professional equestrian centers. Self-organizing sports and outdoor practices have been booming throughout the current pandemic, while in the rest of the world, the principle of autonomy and self-organization is a given. In France, it's the organization of riding stables that dominates. And they're losing ground. Why is that? Well, if for your bike all you need is a garage, the organization of a daily care for a horse is a whole other matter. And the services offered by professionals in the equestrian trade are having trouble in adapting to a changing demand. It's because the value offered by these pros do not match what users are seeking. My research shows by implementing managerial strategies, riding stables can create a new economic model. That's where the value dimensions come into play. For the self-organized owners, the one not using riding stables, two values are important. One, their own autonomy, and two, the well-being of their horses. But also, certain ethical beliefs make them increasingly hesitant to entrust their horse to professional stables. More and more horse owners prefer to keep their horse in their home, in their own backyard. Economically speaking, it is cheaper, but it's also more time constraining. Through observation, interviews, and online surveys, I've been able to evaluate these value dimensions. I target the importance of the horse's well-being, but also the very image of horse riding itself. My results will enable horse owners to find professionals who share these same values. And they can create a new viable model. This way, both professionals and horse owners come out winners in the race.
La première chose, c'est que nous souhaitons vraiment féliciter les 4 candidats qui sont allés jusqu'au bout de la démarche, et on voit à vos présentations que c'est vraiment le fruit d'une longue préparation. Parce qu'on sait que vous êtes en train de préparer des thèses, des travaux denses, lourds, longs, et on mesure toute la distance entre ce travail et les courtes présentations qui ont été faites. Et ça, c'est vraiment une chose pour laquelle on souhaite tous vous féliciter, parce que c'est vraiment un travail dense. Qui plus est, en langue anglaise, qui n'est pas, je crois, pour aucun d'entre vous, votre langue maternelle. Donc ça rajoutait un niveau de complexité et de difficulté. Donc pour cela, nous souhaitons vraiment tous vous féliciter. Vous féliciter aussi pour la clarté de vos présentations, qui toutes ont répondu parfaitement au format qui est attendu du concours, qui là aussi est très contraignant. Une seule diapositive, 3 minutes, c'est d'une simplicité extrême et c'est les supports dont vous disposez pour présenter, encore une fois, des travaux qui tous ont une place importante dans la recherche, dans la réponse apportée à des problèmes, à des questions de recherche. Il y avait aussi, alors ce qui est intéressant pour le jury, une grande diversité de sujets, des sujets de sciences dures, si je puis dire, des sujets de plus sciences humaines et sociales, et nous avons eu le souci d'en faire quelque part abstraction dans le sens où de ne pas nous laisser influencer par tel sujet ou tel autre qui nous aurait plus parlé par rapport à nos champs de compétences respectifs ou des sujets qui nous semblaient plus faciles d'accès de ce fait-là. Donc ça, c'était aussi un point qu'on a à souligner. Voilà, alors maintenant, après tous ces mots d'explication un peu de notre démarche et des messages qu'on souhaitait vous transmettre, donc le jury a unanimement choisi la candidature de Camille Eslam. Ce qui nous a semblé pouvoir faire la différence, puisque maintenant vous allez représenter le site montpelliérain au niveau du concours européen à Padoue, c'est le côté donc, accessible et vivant de votre présentation. C'est vraiment cet aspect-là qui nous a paru pouvoir vraiment convaincre le jury. Et aussi le fait que votre présentation était accessible même pour des personnes qui seraient éloignées du champ que vous évoquez. Alors, je pense que c'est pas aussi complexe peut-être que d'autres sujets, mais pour des gens qui... En fait, il y a eu plusieurs membres du jury qui se disaient je n'avais aucune connaissance de cette problématique. Et malgré ça, je suis très bien entré dans la présentation et j'ai très bien saisi les enjeux de votre travail de recherche. Donc,
merci beaucoup. Merci.
Je passe la parole au collègue de Trône.
Très heureux de voir cette compétition terminée. Je suppose que ça vous permet à tous de souffler. Oui. Et enfin de respirer, comme l'a expliqué Patrick précédemment. Et donc nous sommes heureux, deux directeurs du Collège Doctoraux, de vous remettre le premier prix et d'avoir ce petit papier comme vous avez dit.
Merci beaucoup.
Et la carte de cadeau. Merci. Pour profiter pleinement de ce moment.
Faites une photo de famille avec les candidats, tous les candidats.
Oui.
Ah, ça c'est sympa, ça. Une petite photo de famille, hein, miroir. Ouais, ça fait pas trop naturel, ça fait un petit peu... C'est beaucoup en boucle, voilà. Mais il faut mettre la mise devant, évidemment. C'est NASCAR.
Non, c'est pas travailler.
Alors même si vous avez le masque, ça se voit quand même quand vous rigolez quand même.
C'est les risques.
Si, t'es content de ça? Super.